Hey everyone, this is Lindy.
And I'm Russell.
From Love Create Celebrate, and today we are finally showing you how we did that slat wall in our kids' bedroom. Welcome back to our channel where we share DIY and home renovation videos.
So it was actually a really easy project. We grabbed a couple 2x4s from our local hardware store and we cut them down to size and threw them up on the wall and called it good.
Easy.
Easy.
This was part of our weekend renovation of our kids' room. If you didn't check that out, I will link it up top and you should definitely check it out. I'll show you exactly how easy it is to do. So the first thing you need for your slat wall is some 2x4s or some 2x6 boards. You actually could use MDF to make this feature wall as well. We didn't because we were debating whether we wanted to paint our slat wall or stain it, and if we wanted to stain it, we needed to use real wood. But if you know you're going to paint your wall, you definitely can use MDF and you don't have to worry about all of this prep work. We used our planer to make sure all of our 2x6s were smooth and the same width before we started cutting. When you're ready, you can cut all of your boards to length on the miter saw. You'll want to cut them a little bit longer than your wall length so that you have some wiggle room when you're putting them up. We wanted to make sure that all of our slats were true, so the next thing we did was just square off our 2x6s, making sure they had one perfectly straight flat edge. After we had planed all our boards, they were just over 1.25 inches thick, which was going to be the width on the front of our slats. We wanted the depth of the slats to be 1/2 inch, so we used the table saw to cut our 2x6 boards into 1/2 inch strips. We had calculated that we would need just under 30 of our slats, and once we had enough, we were able to move on to sanding all of those wooden pieces. Russell took charge of sanding all of the faces with our orbital sander, while I used some 200 grit sandpaper to sand all of the edges. I wanted to make sure that there weren't going to be any sharp corners, especially since this was going to be in our kids' bedroom. If you decided to use MDF because you were going to paint your boards instead of stain them, then you'd be able to skip this sanding step. Once all of the boards were sanded, we gave each one of them a quick coat of paint on the front face and the side faces. We also gave one coat of paint to the wall that these boards were going to go up against, and hopefully that will just save us from doing an extra coat of paint later on. When all of the paint was dry, we brought all of the slats into the bedroom to start putting them up on the wall. Walls are never square in a room, and since we wanted to measure each individual slat to get the right height, we brought a measuring tape and a handsaw to the room with us. Since we obviously couldn't put each one of these slats into studs on the wall, we put construction adhesive on the back of each of the slats to prevent any movement as it's getting nailed up on the wall. When it was time to put the slats up on the wall, we used some spacers that were actually just scrap pieces of wood from cutting slats so that our spacing would be even as we put the design up on the wall. We used our nail gun to nail the boards to the wall, putting the nails in at different angles as we moved up the wall to keep the boards secure and in place. If you have to cut out around any outlets or switches, we have found that the best way to do this is with a Dremel and a flat blade. We put the slat right up on the wall,
measure and mark the areas that need to be cut out, and then use the Dremel to cut out those spots. Typically, you wouldn't see smoke coming from your Dremel as you were doing this, but our blade was really dull and we hadn't had a chance to replace it, so it was working extra hard for this project. Continue along the wall, cutting your boards to height and gluing and nailing them in place until your wall is complete. When all of your boards are up on the wall, use wood filler to fill any of the nail holes that you created while you were putting them up. Once the putty has dried, you can use sandpaper or a sanding block to smooth out all of the boards so that you're ready for your second coat of paint. The final step is your second coat of paint. Once that coat of paint is on, your slat wall is complete. Here is how that slat wall looked in our finished kids' bedroom. We used it as the backdrop for their cute little reading nook, and I absolutely love how it looks. I still can't believe that we finished this entire room, including this wall, in just one weekend. If you didn't check out that weekend reno, make sure you check that out too. I also know that an awesome slat wall in a kid's bedroom doesn't necessarily appeal to everyone, so I wanted to throw in some adult furniture and stage it as a reading nook for adults, just to give you another example of how great this slat wall could look in your home.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments below. And as always, hit that bell so you can be notified of more great DIY and renovation videos.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.